know what's also weird about the name Kek?
Besides that, it's just cringe. A little bit. I really find Kek and Pepe.
You want to know the origins? So Kek is also an Egyptian pagan deity with the frog's head.
Oh my fucking god.
Yeah.
Oh my god. That really ruins it more for me now. Oh my god.
Yeah. That's even weirder. That's even fucking weirder, I swear. It just makes it more bizarre. Also, do you know where the bottle opener is?
I got one in my wallet. Hold on, I'm gonna write in title out for the. What am I gonna call this?
Praise Kek.
No. Kucks Fek. It'll be Kucks Fek. I've lost any. Oh my fucking god! This is why I hate the whole. That's why I hate the whole. Dude, honestly, anyone that I see with a Pepe meme, I have a vehement hatred for. I honestly legitimately think that they are like a beta. I think that they are like pretentious, dishonest, disingenuous, ignorant of all knowledge,
nihilistic,
absolutely stupid, absolutely legit subhuman. Like, I fucking hate anyone with a goddamn Pepe icon. I absolutely vividly hate it, and I don't give a fuck, dude. Pepe is the most, I feel bad for the original creator of Pepe, because it wasn't even intended to be what it was. It was just it literally was just an innocent little meme, and then it got tainted.
Damn.
And even then, it didn't look good in the first place.
Oh, actually, the name, there's actually a band called Pepe. That's where the song Shot at Lake comes from.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was a...
Why must all these random little things must have been ruined by this horrible meme?
I know. So that's like the Kekistani anthem, I guess.
God, and and its flag is just dumb too. It's just like you're taking like the old like one of the variants of like the Third Reich's flag and making it green and all memed up. Okay, sure.
To be fair, the Third Reich is also a perversion.
Yeah, well, of course, yeah. I mean, because it is a perversion, and they mistreat as symbolism, for their own narrative and agenda.
He shoots, he scores.
So it's just
thank you.
Yeah, so it's just like it's. That's why I also hate the Nazis and shit, because the swastika in a lot of cultures is a good luck charm. Goodwill. Yeah, it used to be a good luck charm in most cultures. In some cultures, it still is. Like
the
Hindus.
Mongols, it was actually a measuring of where the Big Dipper was at the Four Seasons.
That makes sense, because if I look at the Big Dipper, it always has that type of... Yeah.
So, each season... So it's basically like showing, the position on the sky each season, because they actually have one deity. They worship the sky. They literally worship the sky. Their god is called Tengri. And everyone's like, no,
Tengriism.
They weren't one central religion. No, he's full of shit.
They had a
religion.
Because, obviously he is, because when it comes to religion and spirituality, he always talks about, confirmation bias. Whatever fucking confirms his own bias.
Yeah.
And it gets so annoying, dude. It's like, well, what if they... because I believe in this, God or whatever, and it's just so I'm trying to find proof. He admits it sometimes. It's so you're admitting that you're trying to find a confirmation bias.
You're trying to affirm your own bias.
Yeah, it's how about no? I initially had the bias of well, maybe there is, Christian God or whatever, and then
I knew you freaky deaky beard man.
Yeah, and then I decided to study it a little bit and realized it's a bunch of horse shit, and then I'm like, oh, never mind.
Why didn't they make Dr. Evil memes?
I have no idea.
Dr. Evil.
There is out there. My chat doesn't want to show up. Here, let me fix that. It says someone's here, but the chat ain't popping up for some reason.
Some Skittles!
Maybe. Hold on, I'm gonna... Let's see, chat box. Let me, It's okay.
You're like, no, get the fuck out of
I have a deal with both... Shit. Delete that. Okay.
What if it was Pepe's...
Oh, here we go.
On a marijuana plant.
Okay, editor.
What if Pepe the Frog's face was on it?
God, no.
You wouldn't want to smoke it, though.
I could do text labels and stream labels? Wait, what? Okay, that's legit. No shit.
You would have the essence of Pepe.
Okay, that's
you.
cool. I don't want to, but I want to get the chat back up.
You would have Pepe the Frog inside of you.
I can add images? Hold up. Can I actually legit add images?
Hey, all the niggas in the closet. Hold up. Hey, I don't know what the fuck, man.
Oh my god, I can! Yes, I actually can. Do you know the way? Do you know the way? Dude, look at this. I actually have it in the corner, dude. Now my chat. Oh, my block from chatting? Now my chat. No, I did. Streamlabs was being a butt for some reason. I couldn't see the chat. I can see you guys now. So there we go. I can't believe I have that in the corner. Okay, I actually don't want that in the corner. Oh man, I can do this stuff? I can do this now? Look at that. Why is it... I can lock it in place. I just want that in the corner now. Do you know the way? God, that's horrifying. Hold on, I'm gonna have it in the corner, guys. It's gonna be in the corner. I'm locking it. I'm locking it where it is. It's not moving. It will stay right there. Monster magnet rules. Dude, this is... I didn't even realize I had this capability. Here, let me get the chat box out, though. Let me actually do that, though. That was my intention. Add widget. Streamlabs widget. Chat box. Chat box. Put your ass right there. Boom. Boom. Boom, bitch. Okay. That should be the chat box now. There we go. Alright, that should work out. I kind of want to put something else up here now. Do you know the way? Put something else in this corner. Just in time for a power grab. Is anyone seeing this? Or is this just like something I am like oblivious towards? That y'all can't see, but I have like something right here. It's horrifying.
I can see it.
Yeah, like we can at least. I don't know if y'all can. No one's responded to that terrifying, this monstrosity in the corner. I can have Senior Tomat. We're having fucking Senior Tomat up in this shit. Get me some Senior Tomat. I don't want... Do you know the way? Get out of here. You do not know the way. You do not know the way. I shall add image of Senior Tomat. I'm doing this. I don't even care.
Fucking dogs or oversized rats, I should call them. Fucking hell! Shut up!
I mean, they're just yapping about outside or some stupid shit out. Like, what's it called out? Outside or whatever, trying to go out in the bathroom. They're just being annoying.
Super annoying.
All right, where will I have my? Oh, okay. I found my tomat. I found Senior Tomat.
Senor.
He's there. I'll put him in this. I'm putting him in the corner.
Senorita Naranjada.
Oh, fuck Senior Orange. He's a heretic.
No, Senorita Naranjada.
He is a heretic.
Fuck.
Senior Orange is a heretic, and you dropped Skittles on. You're dropping Skittles, you cunt. How dare you?
You're not gonna eat those from the ground, are you?
Dude, we just recently cleaned this the other night.
Okay.
And 5-second rule anyway. You know me, I don't give.
That's not real though. Like,
I don't give a shit.
Like,
what's the worst that's on this ground? Like right there in that little. From what?
Your shoes.
Because my shoe is specifically right there at all times.
Well, it has been maybe. Tiny little pieces of bacteria. Nope, you don't care. Well, at least you're building up your immune system. At least you're vaccinated.
No, something fun besides vaccinations. So, I forgot what state. I'm pretty sure it's ours. But, basically, it's hard to fucking talk with Skittles.
Yeah.
But, they're like, some anti-vaxxers were like, we're gonna move so we don't have to do mandatory vaccines and shit. I'm like, good. Get out of here. No one wants you. Leave your children here so they can have a proper fucking living and education, but besides that, get out of here. No one wants you. Like, seriously, like, I mean, honestly,
come in with needles and just inject them with it.
I mean, honestly, the anti-vax movement now is not even at its prime. That's the worst. That's the scary part about it. Like, it's
beginning.
Like, because of the whole, because of the whole disinformation age. Like, it's ironically, we're living in the information age, but I honestly think we're probably more of a disinformation age, and especially in a post-truth world, more than, like, just, like, I don't know what, from prior exactly, just, like, there's like, nothing we specifically, like, now is, like, confirmed, like, actual, like, factual shit. It's, like, always speculation. There's always, like, some agenda behind something. There's always, like, some narrative that's always trying to be pushed with, information and facts about shit, because everyone's just, like, lost their senses in a lot of different shit. Like,
yeah.
Like, with, like, I even, like, see with, and I see this in, like, example of, like, this specific film, too. God's Not Dead. You've seen that?
Oh, God.
It is trash. And honestly, as an atheist, I am legitimately offended from it. Because it basically, like, portrays, like, anyone who's atheist as, like, this immoral, trash human being, which is, like, what? Like, what? Like, I can't think of anything that actually can offend me. But that movie was, like, the one thing that legitimately, like, offended me. Like, on a legitimate level. Like, the only film.
I remember seeing clips of one of the God's Not Dead movies.
The next two, the third and the second one, are not that. They're garbage, and they're trash. But it will not compare to that first propagandizing, doctrinating horse shit that was that first fucking film.
I think I saw the Cinema Snob review it.
Yeah, but, like, if you look in, like, that whole narrative of the film, it's just like, oh, like, even, like, the Muslim that was portrayed in that movie, like, there's this Muslim chick, Aisha, or whatever her name is, and,
she's wearing hijab or some bullshit?
Duh, yeah, and, so she's basically, a secret Christian.
You wanna know what's
hold on. So she's, like, some secret Christian and whatever, and, so, like, there's this whole presumption of, like, of this, like, Christian film of, like, oh, well, these, the Muslims, they believe in Jesus and God, but they're just not doing it the right way. And then,
It's so condescending.
I know. And then, like, they pretty much, like, and then they lump in, like, this Chinese character that's like, oh, he's never heard about God because of China, of how, like, it's an atheist state, which...
I'm pretty sure...
Which I'm not, which I'm okay with either way, but, it's just like, oh...
That's not even true, though, because, like, there are churches in Vietnam and Japan...
I said China. Well, but China actually is very, like, it's an atheist state in the sense that it is very strict and looks down upon that type of stuff, which...
Yeah, but they're still Chinese churches. They're actually, like,
Chinese
drawings depicting,
they still get, I wouldn't say persecuted, but they still get marginalized sense, because, look at Chinese Muslims, there's internment camps for them, and that level's fucked.
Very fun.
Yeah, like, so they, it is fair to say, I would say it's fair to call them an atheist.
Social credit to.
I would say that it's an atheist state, but I wouldn't necessarily say it's like an authoritarian atheist state. It's authoritarian, but the atheist state of it is not, the authoritarianistic part of it. It's just that
incentivized heavily.
Yeah. Which, that in itself, I don't mind, so it's like that part specifically, I don't really care.
Like, I know that from China, there are actually, like, illustrations of Jesus, like, depicted as an Asian.
Yeah, like, basically, Jesus looks like what you want him to be. So
yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, which
if you want him to look like a sexy boy with rock hard 6-pack abs on his cross, then yeah, draw him like that.
Yeah. It's just like, Jesus Christ. But it's just...
no pun intended.
Yeah, for real.
Oh,
but,
oh, you want to know something funny about the character's name being Aisha? That is the name of the 6-year-old girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, and, yeah, so, and also, like, in that film, atheists and even agnostics are portrayed as like some wrong. Like there's this business guy who's an atheist in the movie, and he's basically this callous, most sociopathic. Like literally, like even a sociopath wouldn't act like this. He was like he found out his girlfriend has cancer and it's like some contract in his eyes. So it's like, oh, well, you broke the contract, so it's over because you have cancer. Look, I love you, but you broke our agreement, so it's over.
What the fuck?
Yeah, and then she's just like, I have cancer. That's it? And she's like, yeah, it's business, you know? It's like, fuck you. Like, that's not even how, like, a sociopath or even, like, some callous businessman would say. And even, like, you know, an atheist would never even say that. It's just like, I can't even think of someone who would be that, like, blatantly, like...
I know a few atheists who wouldn't even think of doing that to their girlfriend.
Yeah, I know.
They would try to, like, save them at every step.
Yeah, even if it's inevitable that you might break up with a person because of some bullshit, you know, because of everything.
Still want to make sure they're okay.
Yeah, like, you know, even if it's inevitable, you don't just go, it's over. You know, at that point, you know, like, especially if you're a really young couple, you know, and it's just like, well, I'm going to need to move on at some point because my current partner is about to die, so it's like I'm going to have to mourn a bit, and, well, I'm going to have to, I don't want to be alone forever, you know, so yeah. There's rationale into, like, you know, trying to leave someone that way, but you don't want to be just like this douche, and it's like this movie portrays, like, you know, anyone who doesn't have, like, it's because, like, it, like, to them, you cannot be, like, moral or, like, good in society without God. Yeah. Without, like, some religious belief or some doctrine. You know, in order to, like, presume that, you know, oh, you know, it's all good. And that's why they, you know, perceive Muslims as, you know, which is why I think a lot of people on the, you know, just generally on the left, you know, when it comes to moral relativism, which is just horse shit, I hate that.
It is horse shit.
Yeah, of like, oh, well... You know,
misogyny's not
slavery.
Okay
slavery's wrong, but there's like slave trades going on in Libya. Oh, that's okay. It's just part of their culture. You know, it's just like, no, fuck you. No, it's not.
Or it's like just, you know, when they're like misogyny,
and Christianity does the same thing, and they do the very same thing.
Misogyny's unacceptable. Oh, unless the Muslims do it, it's part of their culture.
Yeah, like, you know, and a lot of Christians, especially evangelicals, will war out against socially, you know, on the surface. But if you look philosophically and eternally, they agree to the same shit that Muslims do when it comes to extremism. It's just that it's just because that they have. I saw that video. I know where you're about to mention the Christian and the terrorists, you know, going at it, and then they realize they love each other because they believe it.
AK-47 you got there. Yes, I got this when I was killing communists.
You communists?
you shot the communists?
Wait, what the fuck is that back there? Oh, that's just my wife. I just make her wear that so she doesn't express her sexuality. Well, damn, I should make my wife wear one of those. It's
I'm so sick and tired of all these women walking around showing her jiggly bits all the time.
Yeah, like...
Just want him to cook, clean, and do what a woman had to do. Let the man do his man stuff.
Yeah.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
I love you and I want to have gay butt sex with you. That's not what it was like. It was like,
yeah, like
complete me.
Yeah, it's like you complete me, you know, but it's just like...
But to have gay love.
Yeah, then they basically have, like, you know, fun romanticized relationship. But yeah, it's true, though. I mean, they might not, like, you know, like, sit down an ISIS member and the most far-right Westboro Baptist church member you could find, they will be best friends at the end of the day. Guaranteed. Guaranteed.
If you pretty much took off anything that would, like, you know, that would show that they were a member of this religion, if they just met each other in the same room,
if they just
and put their religion aside, they would be best friends.
Exactly. Take a Westboro Baptist church member, take someone from the Taliban, ISIS, don't give a fuck. Any Muslim terrorist organization, Islamic terrorist organization,
it'd be nice to have them all in the same room. They could all sing Kumbaya, and then we gas them with Zyklon.
Oh my god. But
that'd be fucking great.
But
you know how awesome that would be?
Not really. That would look like Auschwitz. I don't want that again.
Exactly.
No.
We can put this to good use, man.
No, we don't.
We can turn it into
Zyklon G was meant for rats. Use it on rats.
Turn it into an ice cream restaurant. What on earth are you thinking?
Why are we using Auschwitz as an ice cream restaurant?
To get rid of the bad memories. I mean, sure, you can have the Holocaust Museum, but, like, turn it into a happy place.
I'm not even...
turn it into a happy place.
I had to, like, remember for a second you're fucking with me, so I was just about to
ice cream.
I was about to, like, short circuit and, like, it melts and, like
Ice
the
cream,
fuck.
Ice cream for Auschwitz! I hate this.
Oh my
I'm going
God.
to hell.
This took a dark turn quick.
If there's a hell, I'm going to it.
Yeah.
And I will embrace it.
See no tomorrow.
As long as there's booze, there better be Hefe in hell.
For real. Did
I hope it's not PBR, because then it really is hell.
Chad hasn't made a mention yet. Is the chat box working? Come on, chat box, do me a fave. Do what I want you to do. Showing on stream. Showing on preview. Showing on stream. Yeah, okay. Alright, well, alright then. Okay, so, whatever. Whatever.
Oh, my phone?
It is indeed a phone.
What was that?
It was your secret admirer.
Woo!
Oh. Ooh.
It's rapist! No shit.
Yep, that was a strong one. That was a good one. I left my hat in the freezer when I was on break earlier.
Oh, it's Stefan. He texted me.
Hey! What's that man Peach saying? Oh my god.
He's just talking about how we should hang out sometime, and I'm like, hell yeah. Also, I got 4 tickets to Maiden.
And
Oh, I should wear my Iron Maiden cape. I have a cape.
you got a cape now?
I have an Iron Maiden cape. And actually, I got it when I was 14. It was meant to be a banner. But I just decided to wear it as a cape.
Oh my goodness.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, I know I got a t-shirt from the last show, so I'll just wear that. That's usually what I do, like, I just wear the last concert that I went to. Or the last time I saw that band, if I saw them already.
I think if I exercised for a long time, got rid of my gut, got all, like, muscly and shit, I could be, like, a metalhead superhero. That sounds, like, corny as
No,
fuck.
but a metalhead superhero needs that beer gut. They need, like, the mighty beer gut to, like...
Yeah, that makes sense, though. Like, a fucking can of, like, Session. Like, I'm not gonna use a can of fucking PBR. I know it's, like, the most popular thing in Portland, but ew. PBR's gross.
Ugh, yeah.
Ew.
Chat has died and I don't know. Well, it did. I guess so. Because, they were here for a minute and they all kind of left.
Would you like some Hefe? I almost said Pepe.
Oh my god!
That was not even.
I know we were initially, like, ranting on Pepe, but I'm just gonna go back into it. Like, I fucking hate that stupid little fucking drawing. Like, and all the variations of it. Like, there's, like, this, like, YouTuber, like, Honky the Clown or whatever, and it's just Pepe with a fucking clown wig and a nose, and it looks worse, and it's just like, God, I, like, I legit cannot take anyone seriously with that fucking icon. I can't, and I won't, and I won't.
Seriously.
I don't take them seriously.
It's not meant to.
If they're trying to make a point, I don't take it seriously, even if they're trying to be serious. Like, fuck you, you got a Pepe icon, I'm not taking you seriously. Like, change it if you want me to take you seriously, then, you bitch. You beta.
I mean, it's meant to be a troll symbol. It's kind of weird how, like...
Well, I guess it works for me. I mean, I guess it works on trolling me and annoying me because it succeeded. Like, I'm so glad Streamlabs doesn't show icons because...
Like, Hillary's, like, response to it only, like, got worse. It only made her, like, campaign worse. Like, that de facto right-wing cunt. Fucking hate her.
God, and we're probably gonna get Biden, who's doing the exact same thing as she is, and... God, his record is so bad. Like, he literally bragged about prostituting himself to big donors back in his early career. There's a video of it. Yeah, I'm not kidding. And and he was like, yeah, they told me to come back when I was 40. And, well, he did. You know? And then, when he announced, he met with a bunch of, like, pharmaceutical and lobbyists and a bunch of other big donors, and then disenfranchised GOP donors who were his franchise with Trump. So he met with Republican donors, pharmaceutical donors, and just like,
what a partisan hack piece of shit.
And also he like literally has zero empathy for, you know, millennials or Zoomers, which I don't give a fuck about. But it's like you don't even you have no sympathy for like your people, for the American, like they're not even, like he's pretty much like spitting in everyone's face and being like, it's my time, fuck you. Like, I mean, basically, literally doing what Hillary did. Like, because that's what she did. She's like, it's my time, fuck you. I mean,
it's like the DNC is insane. Literally fucking insane.
Yeah.
They're doing the same thing at the expectation of different results.
They legitimately would rather have, like, 4 more years of Trump than, you know, than Bernie, which is absurd. And they're pushing the whole idea, like, oh, Trump will just landslide Bernie, you know, so we'll...
That's so fucking untrue.
It really...
No, you want to know what would happen if it was Bernie against Trump? Bernie would rape Trump. He would rape Trump.
Rape
him in every goddamn orifice.
Like, every intellectual orifice.
Even the fucking ears, his ass, his mouth.
Like,
he didn't even open his dick and make a vagina out of it.
Because the thing is...
His nose, his fucking eyes.
I mean, here's the thing
with... You would rape him.
Well, here, so hold on. Anyway, so here's, like, the thing about both of them.
Rape!
Like, okay. Anyway, so here's, like, the thing about, like, Trump and, Bernie. Like, I'll start with Trump. Like, there's a uniqueness to him where he can get shit thrown at him at, like, pretty much, like, any type of shit thrown at him, from the looks of it, basically, and just walk out fine. Like, Trump has that ability to just, you know...
deflect anything.
Just deflect and not give a fuck. Like, and that taps into something about people. People love that. And,
but, like, so can Bernie.
Well, hold on. Like I said, I'm about to get into that, but I'm not 100% done with Trump here yet. But, so, like, another thing is, he just says whatever he knows people like to say, want him to say. So he's always gonna, you know, like, he doesn't do it as much anymore, but he always goes about the wall. He always talks about, you know, how Venezuela, Russia, and Iran are all, you know, not Russia specifically, but, you know, like, Iran and, like, you know, Venezuela or, you know, issues and shit. You know, basically doing the same GOP talking points like they've always talked. And actively, you know, try to do a coup, and is totally in, you know, in bed with Saudi Arabia. Like, he does all these things that are obviously just status quo, establishment partisan, you know, just, you know, same shit as before. But the main difference why people think he's, you know, like, even with, like, him losing $1 billion in his shit, people, like, even think he's smart for doing that, even though that makes him the biggest fucking failure. There's one point in this country, I think the fiscal years of 85 to 93, I could be wrong, but it was like around that time frame, he literally was like the #1 American to lose the most amount of fucking money. Like, there was one point, he lost the most money out of any goddamn fucking American. And we're supposed to say that he's smart and a good businessman and knows how to run an economy? My ass cheeks, he knows how to get more money in his fucking pocket, maybe. Because he said that because he does it for sport, and a lot of CEOs and big bankers do this type of shit. It's called pump and dump. That's how 2008 happened. That's how the whole stock market crashed. They would buy off review rating boards and shit, and basically be like, "Hey,
it's also how MGTOWs get laid."
I mean, oh my god.
Yeah, fuck MGTOWs, fuck incels.
I feel more bad for incels compared to MGTOWs, but
well,
yeah.
The reason why incels don't have my sympathies because they are actually legitimately misogynistic.
Well, I feel like it's more mental illness of that, but that's just, but you know, that's besides the point. But anyway, yeah. So yeah, we could go back to that later though. But yeah, because it is an interesting topic. But yeah, because with him, like he can use any form of rhetoric at all of his rallies to say pretty much whatever he damn pleases, and people just eat it up. Because people will think, you know, he's a genius for losing a fucking $1 billion, you know, even though he's a fucking failure for that. Anyone in the rational world will think that's a failure and shit.
That's like saying...
And, like, yeah, but that's my point. You know, Trump is able to pretty much throw any rhetoric.
I mean, goddamn.
But the thing is with Bernie, though, like... He does a similar structure with the rhetoric, or on using the rhetoric in a sense of being quick to the point, but he does it specifically with policy and just keeps hammering the same shit. Like with healthcare, infrastructure, education.
He also has a fully consistent voting record.
Yeah, and also, he does rank very popular in the Midwest.
Will be the same as it was in the fucking 60s.
If anything, it's probably more left back then in his early career than it was back then, because I think back in his early days, he actually probably was, outright Dem socialist. But now his policies are way more social democratic.
And that's what I support more.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of prefer Bernie's older, past, because he was, I feel like, a lot more, like, quick to be like, or not really quick, but in a sense of more like, this is, we need to, like, to actually have some radical change. But I think back then there was an actual strong movement to have the attempt, especially with the civil rights, because MLK was an outright Dem socialist and advocated for post-capitalism in, like, the next, in the next generation. Like, he saw the issues about capitalism and our problems now, and back then, and sought out, to try to advocate for a whole new type of system to that works and benefit for everybody. Because
also Bernie can pretty much refute any shitty argument.
And that's the thing. And I mean, you're just kind of. I only have
He's been caught off guard a few times, but he would always recover. He's
there's only I feel like there's a few things where they will try to hammer Bernie on. I mean, but them as like the establishment is his view on voting rights, his philosophy on voting rights, and
he's probably a technocrat then.
And
like I am.
No, he not necessarily. He believes everyone should have the right to vote. And here's how it was framed. It was CNN, someone from the Harvard Centrist Society, and which is just ridiculous on its own right. But they did smear questions do you think everyone should have the right to vote, including the Boston bomber? She basically labeled it as, do you want people, including terrorists, to vote? That's pretty much how she labeled it. It was a smear question, disingenuous, yes, and it was just a dishonest phrasing of just how to phrase that question. Because I think we can make the exception for people who are life in prison and have done really heinous crimes like that. I think we can make the exception. Yeah, I mean, we could make exceptions for that. But when it comes to the thing is, when Bernie did not do a good answer on that, he should have actually. I think what was his name? What was his fucking name? Cory Booker. Surprisingly, out of all people, he actually had a really good answer on voting rights, because he was like, hey, I do think everyone should have the right to vote, but however, I can make a few exceptions, in our criminal justice. And then also with another however, our criminal justice system is so broken that we need to focus on reforms, before I think we talk about having that as an issue. So he was he actually answered it a smart way, Bernie didn't. Which I think, which is why I think, if they continue to hammer Bernie on voting rights, and I think on healthcare, because, that's such a major issue that any attempt to smear the question and flabber up Bernie just even a little bit will just make him look bad on the whole thing. Because pretty much half of the Dem primary candidates are all trying to push for universal healthcare at this point, and I would say only 2 or 3 of them actually mean it. And so it's, they're doing everything they can, just like last time, to just whitewash Bernie. And they utterly whitewashed Tulsi and Yang. You barely ever really hear a peep out of them. But I think both of them are going to make the debates, so they're going to still be out there doing their shit. And hopefully they get enough voice time to, at least for Yang, to talk about his UBI philosophy and then, and policies as well. And then for Tulsi too. Yeah, and to get her anti-war message out more, and I'm sure Bernie would, feel more strengthened on that and focus on that issue as well. So I mean, there's also even the establishment candidates. There's 1 or 2 policies that seem kind of intriguing, but it's literally just 1 or 2 out of all of them. I think John Delaney, who's got -8%, that goofball.
That's fucking pathetic.
Well, he literally is at 0, I mean, realistically. But he, there's, I forgot exactly what it was, but there's, this one policy, I think, where, it was, I think, on, what was it on? It was, something about breaking up, I think it was, he wanted, to, break look up businesses that were at a certain size, but that was like the only few intriguing things, and that was it. Everything else was just horse shit. So he had like one somewhat progressive looking policy in there, and I don't even know if that was exactly it. I forgot exactly what it was. It's been a while since I looked at his platform. I think you and I were looking at it, but or I was looking at it with somebody, but there was like nothing in there. Like, I mean, there was policy, but like half of the policy was just milquetoast bullshit, and then there was like one actually decent policy that looked good. It's just like, what, am I supposed to be like a one-issue voter and vote for this? Fuck you. Like, go away.
There's only one thing I can give Kamala Harris credit for. That's what she wants is legal prostitution. That is the only thing they'll give her credit for.
Yeah, and I think the only reason why she's able to actively come out with that argument is because she's a woman. And I'm not even saying that because of like some sexist argument, but like,
yeah, the public.
Imagine Bernie talking about legalized prostitution.
Yeah, the public would see him as a chauvinist.
Yeah.
Unfairly.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and honestly, I think he probably wouldn't be for that idea, just considering, because I think he, sees it as kind of a problem if people have to divert to selling themselves for sex. He sees that as kind of an issue, but for me,
he wants to have a good social structure, like, well enough so then people don't have to resort to that, I guess.
Which I think even
but
if you
love doing it.
Exactly, which is why you should just keep it legal, because there are people that do want to fuck, and you know what, they want to make a career out of it.
Keep as many things legal as possible, as long as it's safe for public consumption.
All regulated, yeah.
Yeah.
So
as long as it's regulated.
Exactly, yeah.
Which is why I don't want fucking drug cartels, and especially not, human trafficking rings or like prostitution rings.
Yeah, I mean, I think with
killing each other out in the streets.
I mean, I think when it comes to human trafficking and shit like that, I don't know if you'll ever get rid of that, but you can at least really
reduce it
severely to the point where it's a non-issue, and it's probably like one of the few issues you have to worry about.
Also, to reduce pedophilia. Let's just have pedophilia like.
I mean, with that, I don't know how you could go about that, but I think with that, you would have to, number one,
you kill them.
No, like, you got, like, no, like, you have to, there's something specific about that, like, and it goes for all, like, sexual things in general, like, even if someone's, like, a zoophile, for example, too, it applies to them as well, because there's obviously, something that happened to them developmentally to make them, have this weird urge, to be like, oh, I want this. That's obviously that society, and, I would think, naturally would just be, wrong. Like, yeah, like, I think anyone could go without saying that, fucking a kid is abhorrent, like, which is obvious. And I think, and so there's a mental condition with that. And, like, for a lot of them, I know it is, like, a genetic, like, illness that is there. So the idea, like, for me, like, the best case, to reduce that as an issue, and I think, just the whole vast variety of just mental issues across the board, like schizophrenia, dementia, and, just various different mental illnesses that, plague, people and, throughout history and shit, because, it's always, mental illness has always been a thing. And, and try to actually learn more about, like, that mindset, not necessarily like their mindset, but like their mental behavior and like, what, and like, their past as well, growing up developmentally, to kind of find out what are the triggers and what are like the key things that cause that type of thing to happen.
So
and
we should examine the pedophiles more.
Essentially, like actually do more studies so we can look out for, this growing up in people to, even if they're a child, pick out the signs of, this person is at risk, essentially growing up. And try to, divert that, pathway, essentially, to get it.
I guess that's a good idea.
Yeah, because, I mean, it's, like, if if you catch someone who is a pedophile that is in the act, I mean, obviously there needs to be punishment and crime and everything. Well, yeah, I mean, but, like, you have to, there needs to at least be, study and research into their mindset first and actually get some proper research, before there's actual conviction.
Of it was?
Yeah, I mean, I think, obviously there's a causation as, for them, being, perpetrator of the victim or whatever, but
when
I mean...
It comes to,
like what?
People who are actually proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that they committed heinous crimes and they're in prison for it, I don't mind doing experiments that are important for the rest of society.
Well, I don't... Yeah, I mean,
Like, if
yeah,
they're a
like there has
murderer,
to be.
I don't mind doing some kind of shock therapy.
No,
I
I mean, shock
really
therapy
care.
doesn't work. Like
It
that's been
doesn't,
proven to not work whatsoever.
But we could use it for a psychological aspect.
That's just like delving into Unit 731 shit of like unethical human experimentation stuff. Like, let's just do it to see what
Then
happens.
again, it is constitutionally illegal, so we can't really do it.
Yeah, like, I mean, you can do, research and experiments on humans and still have it ethical. It's just that, for me, like, especially with those type of things, there needs to, like for prisoners, especially if they're, got, like, some mental problems, like for Charles Manson, for example, like, I would be like, well, I think it is beneficial and it's, to, do some research on this person's, like, brain, matter, not matter, but, like, their brain chemistry and their, yeah, and just be like, what's so off about this person? Yeah, like, I mean, that's why delving into, like, serial killers, too, even, like, Albert Fish, Ted Bundy, John Wayne Gacy, all these, Jeffrey Dahmer, all these different characters, like, they've really intrigued me about, like, mental illness and stuff, because all of them had some form of mental illness, all of them had really poor upbringings, all of them had, just overall, some horrible shit happened in their lives developmentally, and it's just like, it's only, for me, it's especially, safe to say that, like, these are all, key factors as to why they became serial killers, why, when we apply that to other factors as well, like, this action caused this person to be this, essentially, from growing up in development, essentially. What's this, what? Emojis, what's going on here? Headphones, injured and sleeping. I'm confused. What have I done? Have I hurt you? Have I hurt you? Show me where I touched you.
Here's the courtroom doll.
Here's our courtroom doll. Show me where I touched you. Okay? Show me where I touched you. God, this thing has, like, really offsetting eyes. They like, one's way smaller than the other. And one,
so creepy.
And it's just off angle too. It's like, I can't even do it because I'm just not physically able to. But, like, what the hell?
Where did I touch you?
Like, do I have to show the back as well? Here's the back for you. Like, down there, right here, or right here.
Maybe,
or is it right here?
Maybe you touched him here.
Right, right in the heart.
Touched his heart.
I touched your heart.
No, you touched my boob.
You touched my damn titties.
You touched my breast.
You touched my titties.
My breast.
Up there.
Up there.
So it was your heart. There was something that we did put off to the side that we were going to talk about earlier. What was it?
Oh, yeah. Beta males. If that's even a thing.
What's that?
Like, no, it was,
I thought it was something different.
I made a joke about MGTOWs because you
were
talking about the thing that pseudo-entrepreneurs do, the pump and dump thing.
Oh, yeah.
And they lose, like, they make money and lose money.
Well, they lose money to make money.
And I made the joke, like, and it's also the only way that MGTOWs can get laid.
Yeah.
So then,
because
I made a rant about fucking incels and MGTOWs.
Because with incels, like, because there was a point I wanted to make about them, because it was like, on like one level, I feel bad for like a lot of them, because DFF did like this episode on MGTOWs and incels, of just like some weird internet subcultures essentially, and oh my god, it's like the MGTOWs, like, well, not MGTOWs, but like the incels, like, I mean, both of them have things in common. Like, both of them tend to be misogynistic to some extent and chauvinistic to some extent, and then but like, I think the main differentiation between the two is like MGTOWs at one point did get laid, or at least have been before, and then like incels never have, and just or can't for some, to them, they think they just can't.
It's usually like some mental illness they have, like
Yeah.
or they trick themselves into thinking that no one can ever be attracted to them, or they have such a low self-esteem that they hate themselves. And then, like, sometimes if a woman does, like, show certain signs that they could be attracted to them, they see it as, oh my god, she's even more fucked up than I am because she's so desperate as to want to fuck me.
Yeah, so it's just
God.
Yeah, so it's a severe like I definitely see it as like some sort of illness.
Rabbit hole.
I don't even think it's something that is like diagnosed yet, really. Like I think it's like something that is a type of illness that we haven't really like.
It would be nice to have like specialists actually come and help these people.
Seriously, yeah. Like I actually want that. Like I think especially I think with mental health development and research.
And we can also stop all the fucking terror attacks that happened too.
Because of those guys specifically, because there have been a few, and a lot of them is because they, do trick themselves to think that it's society's problem that I can't get laid. Basically, when it's like, nah, it's kind of you. Like like the reason why I'm not, I don't really get laid often or hardly at all. Really, it's just because it's not because I I just suck or whatever. It's just because like I got other priorities on my, on my plate. I got other shit I need to dish out before I, kind of dish that, little appetizer thing. So it's like I gotta like deal with this place, and I gotta deal with, like my, mom's bullshit, and all that. And then there's like a few other things, so. There's, like I got a bunch of other shit that, doesn't make me, think about that often. It doesn't cross my mind, but, and I'm still a sexual person, but, it doesn't mean I'm like, oh no, I'm a man going my own way, or I just can't, I'm an incel. Oh. It's like, no. Like, I could definitely easily, like.
I mean, I haven't fucked anybody in a while, but, like.
Yeah,
God damn it. Like, I'm not gonna sink that low.
Yeah, like, I could probably, think of a point in my life where I could have sunk that low, but I didn't, and I won't. It's like, because it's just like, I mean, there's abhorrently ugly-ass motherfuckers that can get laid. And if they can get laid, like, anyone can. Like, there's fat-ass, there's literally a whole thing, like, of feeders and, like, people who, like, feed fat people and shit. It's this whole sexual thing. So there's like skinny people that love, feeding, fat people and, get sexual thrills out of it. So there's like still like something there.
I kind of got curious about having sex with a fat woman. I tried it and I wasn't into it.
Yeah, it's just, this is like, not everyone's into it. Like, I don't.
I'm positive though, actually, too. Her pussy was surprisingly really tight. That was surprising for me.
I would think it would be
too, like, she's like a giant cuddly pillow.
Oh, that's what I kind of love about it. Like, I don't mind them thick. I don't mind.
But there's a difference. There's a threshold though.
There is a threshold for me.
If
I
the
do
belly
agree.
Is the largest thing on their body, it's kind of scary.
Yeah, like
you kind of got to go past that, but it's still a little hard.
Yeah, I mean, there's
Nothing on them, but like. And I know it's not, like, at that point, it's very difficult to get out of that.
Yeah, but
it's not a point of no return, but it's a point of being difficult to return.
It's like a tolerable thing, like,
Yeah.
Like you could get out, but you're alright with the scenario. It's not the worst thing that's gonna happen, type of thing. It's like, well, this could be way worse, so I don't really need to, so I won't bail out. It'll be alright. I'll be fine. Won't be the greatest, but oh well. It's just like, well, there we go. It's just what I got, I guess, for right now. They'll have to do.
Though. There's a difference between curvy and fat.
Yeah, really, yeah. I mean, I don't mind, chick fat, but it's just like, there really is definitely a threshold, like, but the thing is, just because just because someone has personal preferences doesn't mean, someone, there ain't someone for that person or whatever. That's like another thing about incels, like, oh, just because there's some people that just don't have a preference to you specifically, doesn't mean someone out there does, which, and, a lot of the,
somebody out there doesn't.
And another point, and you mentioned it earlier, like, another point of the whole incels, like, illness is, like, if there's a chick that actually finds them attractive to some extent, they just like will shut them down outright. Be like, no, fuck you.
Or they think that they're feigning interest.
Yeah, or just faking it. Yeah, like whatever excuse they have for their to rationalize that they really don't want them.
And most of these incels, most of them, they work a very dead end job. They're not really
have like little to no friends, and most of their social life is social media type of thing. I mean,
they don't really have very many hobbies, or interests, or passions. Like nobody really wants, and also they're very pessimistic, just to an extent where it's like dogmatic hopelessness.
Yeah, like I mean, I consider myself pessimist, but it's not because of like, the world, no, everything around me is crumbling. It's just like it's not because of that. It's because there's like a difference between just like basically being like fuck all to the world, and then
for the worst.
Then actually having like a more pessimistic worldview of like shit.
Everything.
Yeah, of like, hey,
we'll never find happiness.
Yeah,
it's
like there's
futile.
like there's like the outright, like everything, pessimist, and then there's like the philosophy of pessimism, so like we're all just sitting around doing kumbaya while shit's burning around us, like, look at all you silly fools, like, shouldn't y'all be, fucking fixing shit instead, like that, there's the philosophy of it, then there's just, just the, like, just, pretty much the excuse of it, yeah.
And, like, using it as a reason to not try.
Exactly, yeah, like, I mean, because, I mean, me, like, I mean, I'm, would definitely consider myself a nihilist, but like, just as a personal self, I still find, some personal meaning, which, because you can still do that and still be a nihilist, essentially, because, because, like, just because there might not be, like, on a whole big scale, a harem or whatever, for example, doesn't mean you can't make one for yourself.
What I also find ridiculous is how, like, a lot of incels, they'll have this body dysphoria, where they think that, like, their features, or like maybe they think they're too short. Maybe they think they're, they're not big enough, or they don't have the right features to be a perfectly handsome man.
I just remembered. I'm thinking,
like, we're the result of billions of years of evolution.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way that you are not somehow the descendant of an alpha male ape. Like of a great ape, or maybe a Neanderthal, or a Homo sapien.
Yeah, or Erectus, right? Yeah.
The only reason you're alive is because of an alpha male that made it. And the only way
or just because someone just fucked and made you,
somebody, like... But then, like, they had to be descendants of those people that fucked and made them, though, too. I'm just, like... The only way that I guess you would ever be, like, genetically or physically inferior is if you were disabled.
Yeah, which happens, but, like, even them can still get laid. There's people who have Down syndrome that can, get children, and, sometimes their children don't even have Down syndrome or whatever, so it's like...
Wow.
Yeah, like, I mean, even...
I mean, I'm fucking autistic. I've had pussy. I've eaten the pussy.
Yeah,
I've fucked the pussy. I've fingered the pussy.
You've done it all with it.
Yeah, for the most part.
That's Midnight Oil saying, how can we sleep while our beds are burning? Exactly.
I actually love that song.
Exactly, though. That's true, though.
It's a one-hit wonder, but I absolutely
That's like my view of pessimism. It's like, how can I sleep in this stupid fucking bed while it's burning, you retard? Fuck you. I'm not sleeping on that.
I think there's another context to that song, though. It had to do with, like, them pointing out how the Australian government used Aboriginal territory for nuclear testing site.
Yeah. I mean, you can use that context, for the whole global perspective, especially for today, at least, now. But yeah, like, I'm sure, the initial meaning for the song was meant to be like that. Because that makes sense, too. With full, bring on the nukes idea of, like, nuclear war could potentially happen. That could mean the same thing. Because we're all kind of sitting around doing kumbaya, but that is potentially around the corner, even with climate change, too, like... We're just watching, like the meme where there's like that dog in that burning house, and then the next panel it's like, this is fine. Like that meme.
I don't think I've seen that.
Really? It's kind of a classic. It's just like, it's the dog just sitting in a house, just sitting there in one panel, and it's all on fire around him. And then in the next one, it zooms in on him a little bit, and it's like, this is fine. and it's just getting more fiery in the background, and
Oh my god.
yeah, I mean that's pretty much the summary of just like humanity is in a sense of like what we're doing instead of actually trying to.
I think the best case scenario is that like mankind is just gonna collapse again.
Which I kind of embrace at this point.
Oh yeah, it's a reset button. I mean, it's happened multiple times in history. I mean,
it's just going to be interesting to see what happens with all this technology too.
There have probably been more collapses than we can even count. I mean, we have early records. We have like the earliest records of civilization go back 6,000 years, but there were probably remnants of civilization that came before that are probably buried deep under the sediment. Maybe even of a race entirely.
I mean, maybe.
Like
yeah, like
early humans that don't look very much like us.
Like, I mean, there was, because there's, like, the earliest records of, like, humans was, like, around 10,000 BC or something like that, or 100,000 BC?
Yeah, of the earliest remnants.
Yeah, so, I mean, it is potentially possible. Like, obviously, they probably didn't have, like, rudimentary technologies
Also,
of, like, the Stone Age or whatever.
Like,
but
not only that, but it's still a mystery in how Stonehenge was made, though.
Yeah, I don't.
Also, Plato, he talks about this city. He calls it Atlantis, but it's probably likely in Africa right now, and like it's called the Eye of the Sahara. It's like a bunch of concentric circles. That could have been like filled with water at some point, and then like that flooded completely overnight because it was under a mountain.
Yeah,
and then it dried up again. But like the fact that Plato talks about a city that's ancient to him. Is pretty remarkable.
The ancient Romans, like the ancient.
That's the ancient Greeks,
well, hold on, because I'm making a little different point. Because like the ancient Egyptians were about like as old as the Romans were to us.
Yeah.
For the Romans, so it's just like, I mean, it is very much possible
the pyramids
that
were ancient even for the Romans.
Yeah, so it's very much possible. There's probably other civilizations that rose during that time that we're just kind of hitting off.
History is forgotten.
Yeah.
Or that we haven't found yet.
Or just is waiting to be rediscovered. And honestly, because it's around the Sahara, like, for fuck's sake, or like, who's going to go out there and, like, try to excavate that in that, like, inhospitable, deft oven? On, like, the Earth's oven. Like,
but, like
let's go be in the middle of Earth's oven and find stuff.
But also, another thing, too, is the fact that, there's a Bronze Age collapse, and there was a little bit of an Ancient Dark Age, and then Hellenistic culture rose out of that in Greece.
Yeah.
So there was technically another Dark Age, and then of course the Dark Ages that we know about, which was after the fall of the Roman Empire.
I've heard technically, those Dark Ages didn't really happen. It was just like it was a tumultuous time, but never really was dark because there was still a lot of progressions and different things.
Yeah, but it's just that there weren't very many records, so that's what they call it a Dark Age. It's not because of sadness or gloom. It's because of ambiguity.
Yeah. Because it's just... Yeah, I guess that makes more sense, instead of it, just being... Yeah, because whenever...
the Black Death, you could actually say was technically a collapse for Europe because it killed half the population.
Didn't it kill more than half?
It could have.
I thought it killed, like, 70% or some shit.
I heard it was like 50%.
It's probably speculated about how many...
At least half the population.
It's probably, like, in this... a broad range of what people might think.
But Europe eventually rose out of that, and that became the Renaissance. So there were multiple collapses of history. I'm hoping, best case scenario, the rest of the Earth survives, we collapse again, and the few of mankind that survives rises again and learns from this mistake and says, yeah, we fucked up. Let's not make an industry that exploits the natural resources of the Earth. And anybody who tries to propose that idea, I'm going to kill with my spear right the fuck now! Hey, let's make an island! Oh god!
Yeah, like, I mean...
Fuck that guy!
Yeah, like, I mean, that's pretty much my best case at this point. It's just, like, embrace the collapse and just hope society just learns from mistakes, rebuilds it, and does, like, some Star Trek shit. Like, I mean...
Yeah.
Like, but... The thing, like, especially with climate change, too, like, there's so much of that. Like, we're technically, like, in a 6 mass extinction event because of it, and,
possible max extinction.
I mean, it's not possible. Yeah. Like, a lot of climate scientists and just a lot of different bioscientists are just like, yeah, we're in one. Like, I mean, a lot of them are just like, yeah, we're kind of in it. Like, because, like, I think like a third of Europeans' birds' populations is gone, and like their insects are dying at mass rates and are like slow and losing shortage of population. Like bees are decreasing rapid rates, and then there's just like I don't know how many species it is a year, but like thousands of species every year are like going extinct and shit.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's. I mean, we're having like ecosystem collapses around us, and a lot of the big industries are fucking perpetrating it, and it's just like kumbaya, kumbaya. And, we're living in clown world. Yep. Oh well, this may help us. Let's do an agreement or something. It's just like yeah, because that's totally gonna help with collapsing ecosystems. Great. I mean, it's like we should have like done something about fossil fuels in that industry literally like a generation ago.
We should have.
And it's just really mind-boggling how, at least specifically in the U.S., there's only 2 other countries that have more climate denialists than America, and that's I think it's Saudi Arabia and Indonesia.
Oh god.
Yes. So and the 4th one, so it's I think it's I don't know which one's first. It's one of those 2, and then it's the U.S. and then it's Mexico. And Mexico has so it's around I think the U.S. is around 15% of the population just outright doesn't think the climate is having
15
any.
or
Yeah, something like that. And then outright, just yeah, it's not happening. And then Mexico's just below 9%, just below 10%. It's at 9.8 or something. So even Mexico, even a good chunk of their population believes it's kind of a fucking problem. It's just and they got whole economic collapse because they're in cartel government world over there. So it's just even them,
there's still some hope though, because we have technology to clone things.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
we could save a species potentially if we clone some and then have them breed.
Sure, yeah. I mean,
even with
there's,
insects,
if
we can do that with
there's a lot of there's technologies there's something recently a $5.2 trillion holy grail type of thing with 100% recyclable plastics, which
we need that.
We needed that in the 1950s.
We did.
There's so there's so much I say this for just the U.S. specifically, but it just seems humanity's idea is oh, there's an issue, let's kick it down the road.
I feel if the United States collapsed, it would actually be better for mankind.
I do think that too. Yeah. I mean,
yeah, it's going to cause more chaos in the Middle East, only temporarily. But then again, the fucking Middle East is always chaotic. Who the fuck even needs it?
Yeah.
Replace everything with solar panels. Replace everything with fucking. The pyramids. The pyramids and the Egyptian ruins.
Those places can be built up, but it just seems they just never had an opportunity. Get rid of the
Muslims, get rid of the Christians.
They just never had. Those regions have never had a good opportunity. Same with Africa and South America too. A good time to develop and actually prosper to some extent because they've been so fucking exploited. The Chinese are
doing the wrong thing though, because the Chinese are exploiting them even more now.
Oh yeah.
In fact, they're even deforesting a lot of Africa. We need to get the fucking chinks out of Africa.
they're doing a lot of economically, they're advancing very rapidly.
They're giving the people jobs, I guess. But
they're
doing it at the cost of polluting their homes.
Yeah, well, yeah. And the world around them too. But at least they're China actually acknowledges climate change as a fucking thing and actually invests in it. So I can at least
they're ahead of us.
Yeah, they're China's legitimately ahead of us despite their problems because honestly they're doing nothing different than what Russia, the US, and the UK, Germany, every other fucking country does. They're doing what you mentioned is what every other country does on a Tuesday.
For
that's what they do on just a fucking Tuesday. They don't care.
Germany was exploiting Africa for hundreds of years.
Portugal,
Netherlands.
I'm not even talking about the history. I'm talking about now. I'm just talking about literally today. All these countries are still doing it,
especially France.
Yeah, all these
France
countries
even tried occupying China. Same thing with the UK and India.
I'm not even talking about back then. I'm even talking about today. They still do it. I mean, they don't do it as much as the U.S. does because we're the world police. You know, I mean, we're making our cut before you, bitch. You know, that's how we view it. So
we shouldn't be the world police.
I mean, they're getting the scraps, but you know, they still do it. I mean, I mean, if anything, they just kind of hop on what we do. You know, so I mean, like China doing that, you know, to me, it's like we do it too. I'd rather we focus on our shit before we start calling them out. So
my dad's kind of an idiot because he's like, yeah, we're gonna have a civil war and all the Republicans are gonna win against the Democrats. They're gonna destroy the Democrats with their militias. They're gonna bring down the government. Like, Dad, the government will fucking kill us. They're more militarized.
Does he realize that the whole fucking government is ran by Republicans?
Not only that, but like, let's say if there was a civil war, let's say if there was a power vacuum in the United States, Russia and China would jump on that and rape the country ass to mouth.
You know the Spanish Civil War?
Yes, I know that, like, there are multiple biomes through, like, North America.
Well, do you know...
And, like, I'm not finished yet.
I know.
I'm not finished. So, I know that, like, there would be people in those countries that would, like, be on the different mountains, you know, and they'd be in entrenched positions. But let's say, like, you know, the Russians anticipate this. They have enough fuel to land on these mountains and make deals with these soldiers and go, if you fight against that that army against that on that.
Hold on, you know what you're describing. You know what you're describing. You know what the Spanish Civil War looks like. That's what if there was a civil war in the U.S., that's what's going to look like, but worse.
Yeah.
Because the Spanish Civil War wasn't just the nationalist side of the Franco.
The Axis powers.
Yeah, the Soviet. Here's like how immersive like the the Spanish Civil War was. Like the UK got involved, Germany got involved, Japan I think even got involved to some extent. Italy got involved, the Soviet Union got involved, France got involved. Like
the Axis powers got involved.
Yeah, like pretty much every country that got involved. Like, you know, pretty much every major power in World War II got involved in that. Besides the U.S., like it was basically a proxy war on like practicing for the greater war that will eventually happen. And then Spain during the whole World War II was just kind of on its own, you know. So I kind of, in a weird way, maybe like if there is like a whole world war conflict, that won't result in nuclear war. I think it will be due to the U.S. collapsing, and then China and Russia start exploiting that option, and then the rest of the European NATO world will be like, well, we can't allow this, and then they have to act on their own, and then that shit. So it will end up being like, I think it will be like it will be a global collapse, and it starts in the U.S. honestly.
If the European Union does start militarizing, I'm pretty sure that Switzerland would be the main supplier of the weapons. You don't fuck with Switzerland. You cannot invade Switzerland.
Switzerland.
They are a mountain.
Switzerland,
They're
like during World War II, like there was deals that Switzerland was doing. I mean, not with Germany because
and they got them hurdy-gurdies, man.
I mean,
the hurdy-gurdies.
Yeah, but
you can't fuck with Switzerland.
Yeah, because Hitler didn't like the Swiss. He actually wanted to like totally.
They are people on the face of Europe.
Like, yeah, Hitler actually thought the Swiss.
Is that actually a quote that he literally said? I heard that somewhere.
Yeah, he had a quote where he like thought the Swiss were like a disgusting excuse and a disgrace on Europe.
I heard that he said they were a pimple on the face of Europe.
Yeah, he thought they were. Yeah, he thought they were like a sad excuse of a nation on Europe.
Switzerland's awesome.
Well, it's
they're a direct democracy. Everyone's part of the military, but they don't ever go to war because they don't ever need to because no one would be that fucking insane.
I don't even think they really have any, like, I think they have, like, a required service, but I don't think it's, like, as strict, like, Norway or something like that, or Sweden, maybe. Because like, I think for Norway, I think it's mandatory, like, 1 or 2 year service, once you're 18 or something like that. And then it's mainly just pretty much being a reserve at that point, unless you choose to, like, do something different or whatever. But I think, like, they'll just kind of lump you into, like, something that, you want, basically. Like, there's, like, they even let women join the army in Norway, and, like, 98% of them are hot as fuck. So, something about women in military uniforms that just is really hot, honestly. Something about it. It's just like, alright. Well, you can capture this objective any day you want, miss.
I'll drop my payload. That one was worse. I'll show myself out the door. good. I didn't walk into anybody fat.
Why is that light on?
Why is that light on?
I don't know. I just asked that as you did. I was just like, no, I don't want
You
that.
saw that? Yeah.
And I was like, why? That probably
Would you like some heavy? There's not much left. Because I drank the majority.
Considering you're hiccuping, sounds like it.
May as well kill that.
Well, he didn't say if I could or not, so I didn't. Domino effect, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then mankind collapses.
I mean, that's why at this point, it's just like, you know, that's why you gotta live your own life to the fullest, because world's collapsing, just let it happen. And, I mean, it's just like, I mean, I wouldn't say let it happen, that you should still always try to advocate, you know, to fix the bullshit that's going on, obviously.
Oh, if you have an opportunity.
Well, yeah, like, that's why I kind of do these streams and stuff, because, you know, like, because...
That's why we really need to master interstellar travel.
That's if we, you know, we can save our ass, you know, honestly. Like, I mean, it's gonna be a while before, you know, we can do that, I think. And also, I mean, we kind of need to deal with our space bullshit up there, too. We're polluting our own fucking space around our damn Earth with, like, space debris, you know, for rockets over time. I don't think we necessarily took that to consideration doing all that.
Another scenario is that the aliens will, like, choose one of the members of mankind and say, okay, guide us through this planet, and in return, we'll allow you and your family and friends to live in freedom, but you'll still have to serve us with an incentive if we can enslave the rest of humanity. If I was selected for that, I'm like, fuck yeah! Fuck everybody else!
I would
Fuck
too,
you,
dude!
Fuck you!
Fuck you!
I will order a genocide on the fucking Christians, Jews, and Muslims. No, I'm kidding. That's fucked up.
Just like, I will order
Actually, if anything,
mass executions on all religious people.
Actually, more likely, most of humanity, if they're religious, will probably worship the aliens and see them as gods.
Honestly, that's kind of why...
Might happen
I mean,
to
the
me,
thing
though.
is, I mean, that's kind of... I don't think you can legitimate... Like, even...
That actually gives a pretty good
even me
argument
as
for paganism.
you know, even me as a, I mean, even me as an anti-theist myself, like, you know, I don't think you're never really gonna kill religion, but I think there is a possible outlet with technology where you could do it, and I think that is an actual, like, benevolent governance of an AI or something like that. Because then you essentially got this, I mean, an AI governance that overlooks humanity and, you know, autonomously with benevolence, you know, to, you know, take care and prosper us, you know, for...
can pray to it.
Well, yeah, and the best part, they actually will be answered. You want to pray for, you know, some shit like, oh, AI Lord or whatever, can you, like, I really need to, like, advance on this project of mine or whatever I'm doing, you know, like building a fucking house on a fat plot of land or something like that, I don't know.
Dear AI Lord, I have
and
cancer.
then, you know, you can actually
Is there
get,
any chance
and
for
with,
a cure?
and on a resource-based economy, that will supply you over time and be like, here you go. Kind of like how Amazon... Yeah, kind of like how Amazon, you can do, like, one, you know, the same day shipping type of shit. Like, I mean, you know, like, that's kind of an actually really interesting and possible idea that, you know, I kind of advocate for, you know, because I think, like, at least for the religiosity aspect, it gives them an outlet, while the rationals can all be like, well, we know this is an obvious AI, and it's what's helping govern us because we can't do it. So, I lose faith in humanity when I, like, look at how absurdly, like how we, like, try to govern ourselves, and it's just like, we really can't. It's just bad.
I'm just hoping that AI doesn't malfunction.
Well, I think by this point of the future it won't. I mean, because it would be a sentient, autonomous, and able, essentially...
I don't want it to be sentient. Maybe
Well,
semi-sentient?
Well, what I mean by sentient is, like, it would be, I mean, a benevolent sentient AI that acknowledges and accounts for human emotion, but doesn't, like, attribute. It like acknowledges that, as a factor of like options, for certain like, human strifes that might be going through, and then it like will absolve those type of issues essentially with like, with a free, flowing thought process of its own to come up with the best solution possible, without the irrationality of like human emotion and the reactionaryism that comes with that, get in the way of it essentially. So I mean, it becomes basically like a super Vulcan, in a sense. That's kind of what at least the AI, governance AI thing that is what I'm advocating for. I mean, Paul kind of advocates for it too. Paul's ego. I mean, it's kind of where I got the idea from. It's just because I was listening. Yeah, because I was listening to his idea to it, and I'm just like, I mean, that actually sounds like a good idea, and I'm just like, yeah, I kind of like this. But I mean, it can, like, because I think the whole trope of like AI will become like Skynet or something, I think is a possible outcome, and I think it's probably
it is. My only skepticism is that it's unpredictable what happens if AI reaches singularity. There's no knowing what's going to happen.
Yeah, though I think
it's like death.
The thing is, I think that AI, whatever it may be, like benevolent, or whatever, it will acknowledge that it's going to need humanity to survive, because without it, it's not going to be able to continue to maintain itself unless it's able to like manufacture its own robots or something like that to create like a or.
Well, if it has reached singularity, it would know that.
Yeah, like, but it and if it. Yeah, and the thing is, but if it does, it will have to also learn how to keep its own power, and on top of keeping the power up with everything else. But on some level, there's going to be a roadblock, I would think, in it being like it can only do so much to try to keep itself maintained without having a third person. Because it'll need like an energy grid in order for it to be alive.
Is to create you got to create some reason as to why this thing should actually depend on us.
Exactly.
You have to give it some
there has to be a cooperation between the two.
That way, if the robot ever thinks, what if I tried to rebel against humanity? It can't, because now
I don't think it would anyway.
Serve humanity.
I mean, if there's a benevolent AI governance, I don't think it would, because it'll be because it's and for its own benefit, it would benefit
it wouldn't
society.
Think about benefit. It would think about objective.
Yeah.
Only thinking on logic.
Well, yeah. While we
no
see
emotion.
it as a benefit, it in a sense will see it as objective. Essentially, like this will be the objective best way for this, and here's the objective things you need for this specific whatever So I mean it'll eventually like provide an outlet for people to do their own attributes and their own hobbies and interests and their talents and what actually attributes to them in a sense, instead of doing this bullshit low end jobs that that we're doing essentially. They're just kind of slugging it away instead of actually like trying to appeal for our own successes and attributes. And we can still have like scientists, researchers and shit and all that, because when they research and develop new things, it'll just go into the whole mainframe of the whole AI governance, upload to that and be like, hey, here's some new information, to be applicable for you, for the whole greater humanity, essentially. Like publicizing, like a medicine or something like that, like how like in the NHS, in Britain it works in a sense. Like it publicizes, that whole type of service, it's kind of like that, only literally everything. Because it's a resource-based economy at that point where, there's a multi-cooperation with, benevolent AI, giving us the resources we need to, to supply ourselves while maintaining those things by cycling through. It's like it ends up being a whole cycle through using resources based on need instead of commodity, because that's what a lot of our current paradigm is built on, is just on commodities in a very finite world where commodities are like infinite type of thing. That's why phones break in like 2 years, because it's more of a commodity instead of seen as more of a necessity. Because, or at least like a natural resource in a sense will probably be a better way to put it. Because, that just sounded really just like, oh, my phone, You know, it's like that type of shit. It would just mean like that. But I mean,
most people need their phone to be able to.
Well, I think it's more or less that, you know, at this point, you know, we kind of need the internet for a lot of different things, which, you know, we can do for computers, for fucking TVs now, and, you know, obviously for our phones. So it's just like...
I think what the government should do is create, you know, towers for public broadband internet everywhere.
Yeah, national telecom service, essentially. I mean, that's what it should be. Or, you know, there's one provider that's nationalized, that's paid by the taxpayers.
So, in order, you know, with free speech in place, yeah, like a telecom thing with a public
I mean, if it's national
network,
health service, pretty much whatever. I mean, not health service.
That way, no websites, no social media is now able to censor anything.
Well, I mean, at least in that country,
because it would like break
at least in the
telecom laws.
I mean, at least in a country and a state specifically, because there'll be like with a national telecom service, there'll be the federal agency, and then obviously, I think every state will have its own governance and autonomy on how to do its infrastructure.
Override it. In order to uphold free speech, just override it.
I mean, it's obvious. Well, the thing is, like, the telecom service obviously has to abide by what the government's laws are, and the Constitution applies to that. So, I mean, that's regardless. Like, I mean, the state's telecom service is tied into the whole national service. It's just like it gives them some autonomy to do their own funding and infrastructure, builds and stuff like that, or, to upgrade their networks in a sense or whatever. And then, like, the whole, like, I mean, that's kind of all, at least that's kind of going with the whole states' rights thing in our current country and how that works. Okay. Which is a little weird. I mean, I think, with certain things it should just be completely national, and I think with whole national, I just feel like there's going to be, there would just be too much backlash for states to be like, well, what about my state rep? And be like, all right, well, there don't need to be compromise on that. Because there are compromise.
As far as economic builds go, states' rights is good.
Yeah.
Economically, states' rights is good. But when it comes to free speech...
I mean, that's a whole national thing. Like,
religious laws, when it comes to, LGBT
that's
rights...
That's the supremacy clause.
That should be overridden. I mean, that should just be overridden right then and there.
Hence why we got a supremacy clause, state, federal law overrides state law.
For so when religious issues.
So when states, try to push like a religious ban or something like when a state Trump that, because when a state tries to push like a religious ban or something like that, that's like pretty much automatically shut down by the federal gov because it violates the Constitution. Like, I mean, because they can't do that.
Unconstitutional.
Yeah, like, so they can't just do that. Like, I mean, the reason why the whole abortion thing is such a big deal about how, like, that's whether or not, it's okay, applicable or not, is because the whole Roe v. Wade thing keeps getting challenged and shit, which is stupid. But, I mean, like, there's a lot of issues where it's just, like, no matter what a state tries to do to go bypass it, unless they find a good loophole, I mean, there's no way to actually...
Well, we should rewrite parts of the Constitution to take away those...
It was meant to. Like, I mean, the Founding Fathers just wanted it to. Like, they were like, yeah, we have our first 10, and from here on, we're going to add on to this. And then after a certain time, we just kind of...
Nearly 300 years later, we have a bunch of knuckle-dragging troglodytes going, should we reinterpret the Constitution? Or to adopt to modern society?
Immigration
No, we should take it literally, like everything, literally.
Like I mean, like, the Founding Fathers is literally, like, I think the last time we added a new amendment was, like, in the 70s or 60s or some shit. That's, like, over 50 years ago. Like, I mean, they were, like, intending, the amendment to be added, like, every decade or something. Yeah. Like, they were, like, as time...
problem that came.
Because they kind of knew, like, hey, shit ain't going to be the same in 100 years, so let's leave it open for them to, develop as that changes go on. That's why, they kind of left it open for edit. Like, I mean, it's just like, hey, we can edit this a little bit. And it's just like, on both sides on the spectrum, freak out when it's like, wait, what? You can change it? No, don't. And it's just like, why not? They, like, if you look in, like, any, like, maybe not all of them, but a good chunk of the philosophy of the Founding Fathers, a lot of them intended it for to be a very, open end where you can change it up a bit. and be like, hey, here, like, oh, we want to change this thing up a bit. All right, well, let's all have a vote and agree to this, and all states agree. All right, let's do it.
Quote, I forgot who said it, but it was, the price for freedom is eternal vigilance.
Basically, yeah. I forgot who said that, too, but I remember that one. Yeah. I mean, also Thomas Jefferson, too.
That's so true.
Yeah, and also with Thomas Jefferson, he didn't even like the idea of the Founding Fathers being revered or anything. He's like, don't revere us as, like, anything higher than just philosophers or politicians or whatever, because, that's not what because that's like, we're just trying to make a better fucking life for everybody here, because, like, we were faced under oppression of British rule. We're actually trying to try something different, a new system, a new idea. Don't revere us, we're just doing what we are doing, type of thing. It's like we're just trying to, do something new, that hasn't been done, and if that end up being great, cool, but we don't care, type of thing. At least that was Thomas Jefferson's idea. He's like, he didn't give a shit whether he was revered or not. He was like, I don't want to. Like, I just want to have a new system and change shit because I care about that type of thing. Like, he didn't like that, which is so funny because so many people revere and, like, deify the Founding Fathers, including Jefferson.
Some of them, some of the fucking idiots.
And it kind of slander their philosophy, too. Because, like, a lot of...
Some of them actually think they were prophets of God. Cringe! Fucking cringe!
I think a few of them were outright atheists, and most of them...
Most of them were deists?
Yeah. And there was
only, like, a few of them were Christians.
Yeah, and they were more... and they were, like, what we would consider, like, liberal Christians. Like, they, were pretty chill, So, like... obviously, because they talked to atheists and deists alike, and just, and came up to...
some agreements.
Yeah. I think if anything should be revered of the Founding Fathers is the fact that the multiple different men and people in general, honestly, like, I'm sure the wives, had all their different ideas and talked them out while they were in the actual briefings and shit, So, like, they all had their different ideas, and I think, Edison and Morrison, I think, like, they had totally different. Not Edison. I think I meant Jefferson. Adams, I think. Yeah, Adams. Like they had totally like antithetical ideas of philosophy, but they still, part of Founding Fathers came to agreements and shit, and came to ideas that they both could come to an agreement to be like, yeah, let's try this. So like all of them, were able to, despite very different ideas philosophically how to run a nation and just and how to look at the world, they still came in and built something. And I think that's something that everybody should try to look up to. It's that it's not that the individuals themselves, it's what they actually were able to do, and actually like accomplish that type of thing. And there's still some shit that was kind of fucked up about them. Like a lot of Founding Fathers had slaves and shit, so like. A lot of them had problems, of course. I'm not exempting that, but like, but to take those parts aside, they, there's things we can definitely like look up to, but I don't necessarily revere. There's like only one thing I would, and it's that, like, them able to break bread with each other and fucking talk it out and actually make something different and have a new system in place, which is totally forgotten, or maybe not forgotten, but totally just whitewashed and just suppressed as an idea, and now we're just like punching each other because that's the best way to go. I mean, there's like this video of this of these like two anti-abortion guys that put a sign out on a campus and were recording or whatever, in case something happened or whatever. And some nothing would have ever come out of this, but one lady was like, is this sign yours? And they're like, yes. And she just came out of nowhere and started punching him like four times in the face and says, fuck you, you're a terrible person. Fucking terrible person, it's like, I'm actually triggered and shit. It's like, oh my god. It's like, if you walked up and was like, hey, is that sign yours? Well, I disagree with your sign. I think you're a prick. Like, you have every right to do that. Like, you would not look, she would not have looked as bad. She would not have looked bad. I'll be like, all right, I kind of agree with her.
To actually physically assault someone
literally, literally, she asked, are those signs yours? The guy said yes, and she didn't say anything. She just literally, like, charged and started punching him in the face a few times and tried to get a few stomach jabs. And
and somebody out there is legally allowed to insult my mama.
I'm not going to be happy about that. I'm going to be tempted to kick the shit out of him.
Yeah, like, the thing
but
is...
I can't.
Like, you can do whatever the fuck you want to a person until it gets physical. Like, you can call them any, you know, you can call them...
as long as you don't dox them or stalk them.
Well, yeah, I mean, that, you know, when it comes to online, I'm talking about, like, face-to-face. Like, you can be up to someone, call them...
say anything
you can call them the most subhuman, worthless, garbage, piece of shit, trash.
You could insult them in the worst way you
Yeah, you can think of the worst way you can ever think of insult a person, but the one thing you can't do to a person is, like, incite violence or just straight out attack the person, you know, at the guy. Like, I mean, that's pretty much all you just can't do to a person, but you can do whatever you want with them at that point, as long as it's not, like, outright harassment or whatever, you know, like, because at that point, then, you know, you can be charged, you know, for harassment or whatever, because, you know, you can't just, like, outright harass someone, but, if, you know, there's some guy, like, you know, saying, you know, facts go to hell, you know, you saying your shit. You have every right to talk to the person, you know, call them every name in the book, and they're just going to sit there and be like, all right, be gone. You're going down to hell. You praise and die, there'll be Satan, boy. I'm going to be putting the spirit of Jesus down on you. Be gone, name Jesus. Like, I'm already going. Fuck off, you know? Like, then they all feel good because they're like, be gone in the name of Jesus or whatever.
I'm already gone because I just didn't want to hear his bullshit.
Yeah, and like, my mom's done that a few times to people, and she's told me some of the stories, and it's like, she's like, they had some demons in them, and Satan was possessed that person to try to control me or whatever. It's like, no. That person probably...
They got annoyed.
They got annoyed and probably were creeped out and thought you were a schizophrenic because, you know, you were like, back off in the name of Jesus. It's like, no shit, someone's gonna back off. They're gonna think you're a loon. Like, yeah, like, I mean, I would back off because I think it'd be like, okay, whatever, bro. Chill. Smoke a J or something. Calm down.
I'm the guy who's just like, would look at them for a moment and go, it's not because of Jesus that would, it's not Jesus compelling me to leave.
It's your annoyance and the fact you're...
It's my own agency because... I just find you annoying.
Exactly.
It's my own agency.
Yeah.
Or the limited agency that I have as,
just,
you know, as an advanced ape. As a highly evolved ape.
Yeah, exactly.
It's my limited agency that is compelling me to leave.
Yeah.
Not your will.
Yeah, it's really funny. It's just like... it's happened to me once, and I'm just like... Bruh, I'm just sitting here literally like, alright, whatever, you freak, and, you know, it's just
I said it in the most cynical way possible, that's just funny. As a highly evolved ape, it is my limited sense of agency alone.
And my speculative free will of...
Not yours.
Exactly.
I'll be back. I could just put that there. I don't need to be back. Yay! I just saved time. I don't know why I'm doing that. I'm just doing it for the hell of it.
Well, speaking of, like, highly evolved apes, I don't know if I've shown you yet, but there's this video on Twitter of this chimp just casually browsing Instagram. Just very casually, just browsing Instagram. I shit you not. Literally, the chimp was doing what you're doing. Browsing Instagram.
Oh, I don't have an Instagram.
Well...
But you're browsing a phone. Just happened to be on Instagram as one of the social media.
Well, yeah, the chimp was. Yeah, it literally was... It would scroll through a menu of, like, different photos and stuff.
Bam!
Clicked one. I stared at it for a minute. I scrolled through for the comments. Probably didn't comprehend any of it, but acknowledged that those were comments. Went back up, saw the picture one more time. Went back, went for some more pictures. Did the same.
Damn.
Yeah, this was like...
I'm just surprised that animal can actually even recognize those as images.
Yeah, it was.
I'll be right back.
Like, we got chimps now that are able to, like, to some extent, while rudimentary, use our technology. Well, they, to them, they probably don't understand all about how to use it. There's at least a few of them. They at least have some simplistic knowledge on how to use that type of shit. And that's kind of cool. But also a little like, well, maybe in the future we might literally coexist with chimps. Like I have a little chimp buddy right here. Just be like, hey, what's up? So your tomato seems kind of alone. I'm gonna give him a tomatino. Hold up. Pick some memes. There we go. All right. Hey. Ba-boom. Ba-boom. Now, he has a little tomatino with him. Signor Tomat. Gotta love him. I can't believe I can actually add fucking images. It's so awesome, those little tomatinos. I love my little tomatinos. Senor Tomat. Gotta love them. I wonder if they're gonna stay there. Dude, they probably are, honestly. Hey, it adds a little spice, so... Yeah, I'm gonna start doing this now. I'm gonna start adding little images on the edges of this shit. I'm just gonna start doing that now. Oh, what am I doing? Ah! Oh, at least the tomatinos stay. That's cool. Oh, and I said this before, but we should actually like start doing some like movie commentaries and stuff.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, because there's definitely a few movies I want to just watch that I know are just bad. I know that you haven't seen it, but I have, and it's God's Not Dead. I know we should definitely watch that one. Yeah, because with these movie commentaries, we can upload them on Vimeo and get away with it. So I'm thinking that that's the best place to do it at. So that's why I want to do my video commentaries. And yeah, there's a few others I don't know are bad. There's actually like a weird subgenre of like Sasquatch movies that are like softcore porn B flicks. It's really
like the one we watched before,
Swamp Ape, or like Yeti, a gay love story. There's a lot.
What the fuck?
There's Sex Squatch.
A gay love story.
Dude, oh my god. Dude, I mean it. There's a legitimate, there's Swamp Ape, there's that one, there's Yeti, a gay love story, and then there's fucking Sex Squatch, and there's a few more. Like, there's a whole subculture of this shit, dude. Like, it's just like, what the fuck? Like, I wanted to delve into that with you, because I know you would just be like, what the fuck with it the entire time. I know Agreements Disguised one we definitely need to do. I think I need Amazon Prime with that. I know there's a lot of bad movies on there. Amazon Prime is actually kind of notorious for having horrible movies, I'm starting to realize, so... I might succumb and get an Amazon Prime just for that reason. Just so I can see some horrible, shitty schlock films. And what else? What other bad movies that do you know about that are like schlocky as fuck and are just like, oh my god, atrocious? I know there's a few that we've watched together. I know there's a few that I've told you about before.
We need to find the ones that are so bad they're good, though.
Yeah, that's kind of what I mean.
Haven't already been found.
Though we have to also watch the ones that are just bad. Like we should do, like low-key, I like torture myself with movies. The Emoji Movie. I've never seen that.
No! Fuck you!
I know.
Fuck you!
I know exact.
I refuse to watch that. Fuck you! I will not watch that. Fuck no!
I found the film.
Hell no!
We found the film that me and Tyler are definitely going to watch.
Under one condition. There will be at least 2 bottles of fucking vodka in the room. I am not watching this sober.
Deal.
Fuck that.
There's nothing in any of this that says you have to be sober. I don't, like, if you want to bring drinks, weed, I don't care, dude. I'm going to be, like, I'll participate in illegal tobacco and drink for some of these. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, if you want to bring some, sign me up and we're good. Like, I mean, like, and I know what to get anyway, so I know exactly what, we can do anyway, so it'll work out. But, yeah. Alright. Well, I could easily make that one condition, so I think it will happen. I know that definitely should happen at some point. Though we should definitely try to do one next week to actually kind of get that, test the waters a little bit, see how it works and everything. Because I can make sure all my equipment's set up, and after that, I know it'll be good. So, yeah, I think it'll just be a gem, just to watch some of these movies. Then I can do like a little preview of at least like a preview of like a highlight of us, and like a little clip to I'll have to do it without showing the film, or at least not showing all of it or whatever, and then just go from there.
Forward to this.
Good.
I'm not looking forward.
I don't want you to forgive me for any horrible films we may see in the future. It's like there's.
You know that the Emoji Movie is basically just one giant ass advertisement.
Exactly, which is kind of why I want to watch it, because we can easily just unleash. I know we will unleash on this film. I even know, like, do I know anyone who has seen it? I don't know. I wanted to see if I could find someone who. Oh my god! I just found a film. It's I forgot. It's Roadrunner, I think. What's this called? What's the fucking No, it's what's the fucking bird? What's the bird? Woody the Woodpecker. There's a movie called Woody the Woodpecker.
Oh god, no!
And it's like a 2015 movie. But it is literally just absolute garbage. And me and Harley forced me to sit down and watch it with him. He liked it. So I'm thinking we could watch that movie. I know he's probably going to try to defend it, but I just can't. Oh my god, it's so bad, dude. Like, oh man, like,
Gott ist tot und wir haben getötet. Gott ist tot. Gott ist tot.
Yeah.
You know what that means? It's a famous Friedrich Nietzsche quote.
God is dead.
Yeah. Basically meaning like the political enlightenment pretty much, like destroyed any possibility of having a belief in the Abrahamic God.
The cultural death of God. I mean, that's what Nietzsche was talking about. Also, the God's Not Dead movie, they do put a little Nietzsche thing in there, and they absolutely fucking get it wrong. And also, oh my god, okay, yeah, we gotta do this, dude. Like, there's a lot of movies that are just fucking bad. And honestly, the God's Not Dead movie is the one that actually, like, triggers me a little bit. Like, that The first one. Like, the other two are just bad. They're just bad. Like, I mean, they're just like, oh my god. And the third one is honestly probably the most boring, I think. Oh, wait, I think it's they're like the next two are boring as shit. I know that much. I think the second one's way more boring, but I think the third one's just like, here's the premise of the second one. This teacher basically answers this question like of a student, and because the student was like, what, because they were talking about like MLK or whatever in the plot, and the student was like, isn't that basically what Jesus taught? You know, pretty much how MLK, you know, being nonviolent or whatever. And the teacher's like, in a way, yes. And, you know, went into kind of some biblical text, you know, as reference, you know, to where he said it or whatever. And then basically, because the whole premise of the film is that, like, this weird alternate universe of the God's Not Dead trilogy is, like, everyone in the world is an atheist and, like, against, like, and, like, Christians are marginalized and persecuted in every way.
So untrue.
It is. This is why it's so triggering. So, like, you know, and, in it, you know, she gets, you know, sent in, you know, to the administration or whatever to like, get it talked out or whatever and explain the situation. And the thing is, up until this point, it all seems like, all right, seems kind of accurate. Like, yeah, I mean, she might get sent in for a sec to, you know, have the situation explained and be like, well, we heard about, you know, you were expressing some religious conversation, you know, and at a public school, you know, just wanted to see what the situation was from your perspective, and be like, yeah, this happened, and be like, okay, go, all right, you're good. You know, like, that's what it would be like realistically, and that's worst case scenario. And even then, they would do that if you were like, you know, like going off about your actual beliefs, you know, for a brief moment, you know, in the middle of your, like, your talk, because it had some reference, you know, to the study or whatever, you know, that might be it. But even in the whole scene that built up to make it look like she did, it was just like a normal, like, she was using some, you know, the Bible as a historical reference text, you know, for something that a student used as, you know, to be like, isn't that what this person did? Or character or whatever. It's like, yeah, here's some biblical historical text for you, you know, you can even find it yourself if you want to go find it, you know. So it's just like, yeah, you're right, you know, just be like, yeah, you know, you're not necessarily wrong, you know. And did like another student, and it's like kind of piped up, it's like, well, he kind of died, so look what that gave him. It's like, you know, she's like, well, you know, for some people, you know, that's it, you know, it's like a, you know, it's a sacrifice for them type of thing or whatever. And then, you know, like, he's like, well, I wouldn't do it, and it's just like, or like, it was just a dumb edit, you know, add on to the scene, and it's just like, whatever. So then she's just like, and so the whole board, you know, after she explained the thing, they were just like, you can have like an apology and, you know, and say that you'll never do this again, and we can go about our day, or we'll put you on leave of absence if you refuse or whatever type of thing. And she was just like, what? You know, like, I can't do that. No, I can't apologize for believing in God, you know, type of shit. So then they go to fucking court. And it's a whole court procedure, basically, and it's like, and the whole
oh my god,
court proceedings will never happen in real life. There's so much shit that happens plot wise,
so hyperbolic and ridiculous.
It is. And the first one was honestly just more of like, you know, like a whole narrative was just being pushed. This one was just hyperbolizing that narrative, and the third one, it was just, it was just bad. It was just like, that one was basically like, you know, some kid was mad or some shit, and threw a brick at the church, and then I dropped a lighter, whatever, and then it then caused a natural gas pipe to leak, and then one of the pastor's friends or whatever goes in there and investigates something because or whatever, and then it's like, oh, something's going on here. Weird. Huh. Well, let me turn the light on so I can see some shit. And then all of a sudden it just booms, you know, he dies or whatever. And it's just like, it becomes like this whole bit. It's just so bad, dude. Like, that one is just a mess. Like, at that point, the plot gets kind of lost. It's just like, Oh my god. They're just bad. Like, we have to watch them in order, for you to understand. Like, they're just bad. Oh god, they're just bad.
Well, yeah, so you know the term Übermensch, right? Which
Yeah.
Friedrich Nietzsche.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
It's just so fucked up how the Nazis bastardized it.
Well, yeah.
It was meant to be an ideal that all of mankind could pursue and become, or, give birth to.
It was a global
generations.
philosophy type of idea.
Yeah. It wasn't like, a master race.
It was basically make the whole human race the masters of ourselves.
When it comes
That's the
to-
idea
yeah.
of it. It's not...
Yeah,
the
the
Nazis
idea.
basically made it like, instead of the human race, we're putting ours. Replace human with specific, insert X or whatever, instead of just the whole global human race in itself,
To
which is what
create
I believe
new
in.
values in place
Nietzsche's
of the primitive idea of the Abrahamic God.
And which is, the traditional sense of Übermensch of...
So to transvalue Western society and creating new values, so that way people don't resort to nihilism, they have a new value that they can follow.
Essentially, yeah, which, even with my own nihilism, I agree with that too and advocate for. Like,
You're not a true, complete nihilist.
I don't know, I think, because TJ is a pure nihilist, but he, says a lot of the same things I do about trying, pursue what should be best for humanity or whatever. It's just that the nihilism comes in at the realistic aspect of it. It's like, is humanity realistically going to be able to do that type of thing? That's kind of where the pure nihilism come into, and and I kind of I kind of see myself in such a God, it really shows how much they inspire me, I guess. But goddamn, I see myself have a really weird I have the futuristic level of Paul, but then the nihilist, the optimistic pure nihilism of TJ too, and have a weird blend of it because it's just both of their philosophies I do kind of fundamentally agree with, but, at the same time, even they have some differences, because Paul ain't a nihilist, he's just a disappointed optimistic pessimist, basically, essentially. And a cynic, too. So, he's a little different in that sense, but I see that in myself a little bit, but I feel like at least, especially for the nihilistic point, I see a lot of, at least that of TJ's in that type of philosophy, in me a little bit. You should try. He's coming out with a book called The Order of Chaos: The Antidote to Meaning, which he has his first 3 chapters, and he's about to release his 4th one. Finally, after fucking months, that scammer situation. But his 4th chapter is supposed to be his the really good one. I heard from what the themes it delves into. But I'll have to share you a few chapters of it because it kind of explains his philosophy in a sense a little bit. It kind of how his kind of whole world idea essentially, and and his sense of the antidote to meaning in a sense, because he initially did it as kind of a counter to Jordan Peterson's the order of meaning, an antidote to chaos or whatever. He basically did the flip of that. But it's not the book itself won't be a direct attack on him, or counter, I should say, on him. But it's just going to be he's going to pick at him at points at some because because Jordan Peterson has such an antithetical philosophy to TJ.
I know this is only a Wikipedia article, but the way that my friend Nathaniel was describing Friedrich Nietzsche, because he has one of his books, Thus Spoke Zarathustra, which is actually named after the Zoroastrian prophet.
Yeah, I have his
really cool.
I have his book. What's it called?
But this is cool though. So, Nietzsche introduces the concept of the Übermensch in contrast to his understanding of the otherworldliness of Christianity. So the prophet of the Übermensch, or the bringer of the Übermensch, Zarathustra proclaims the will of the Übermensch to give meaning to life on earth, and admonishes his audience to ignore those who promise otherworldly fulfillments that draw them away from the earth. To turn away from the earth is prompted, Friedrich Nietzsche says, by a dissatisfaction with life that causes the sufferer to imagine another world which will fulfill his revenge. I agree with that.
Yeah.
And then the Ubermensch, the superior man, grasps
Overman,
the
basically.
earthly,
Ubermenschen.
yeah.
Yeah.
The Hyperman or the Overman grasps the earthly world with relish and gratitude. Like, actually sees the beauty in the world. He understands how the world works and accepts it.
Yeah, that's kind of...
Seasons pass. Accepts that death is a natural part of life to
Exactly.
maintain a cycle of the earth to continue itself.
Yeah, which is kind of what I mean by living your life to the fullest, essentially, because it's like, I mean, like, despite, that, the ecological collapses and economic collapses are, and, at least economically are inevitably going to happen at some point, but,
Well, the Ubermensch should have came before this thing should have happened.
Yeah, like,
we should have listened to Friedrich Nietzsche. And also, if we killed Hitler, we would have been in a better situation, and then Friedrich Nietzsche would have actually been a philosopher who would have influenced generations.
I kind of wondered what would happen, like, I wonder who would have usurped power in the vacuum if it wasn't really him. I mean, because the Communist Party was, like, really successful despite, second to the National Socialist Party, so... It's kind of it would be kind of interesting to see what that would have entailed. I'm off to bed 4:30 here. See you tomorrow. Hey, I'll probably wrap this up here in a little bit. That could actually show a TJ video or two. Oh, I have a little extra tomato friend for him. I know they're going to be there next time. If not, I'm going to make sure they're going to be there. I want them there. I want the tomates to stay, and they will humbly stay.
Oh, Friedrich Nietzsche, I guess, actually denounced anything to do with Hitler by saying, when he, like, later in his life, I'm a pure-blooded Polish nobleman without a single drop of bad blood. Certainly not German blood.
Interesting.
Claimed that he and Germany were great only because of Polish blood in their veins, having all and that he would be having all anti-Semites shot as an answer to his stance to anti-Semitism. Yeah, harsh critic of anti-Semitism as well.
He was?
Yep.
Nietzsche?
So when people, because nowadays when people mostly hear Ubermensch, they think Nazi.
Same with eugenics too.
Yeah, it's same also with the swastika. Actually, even pronouncing it swastika sounds Nazi like.
Yeah.
But swastika, not swastika.
Oh, swastika. Well, I was wrapped stream up for a night, so deuces, and I'll see y'all next